It's my pleasure to be back. I think that you guys are doing important work, and for me, the way I think about communication is that it's a tool for doing good. And so it's important that we don't just talk about it. We don't talk about, for example, storytelling as something that just happens, but something that can transform our society. And we know, especially those of us in Africa, that our problems are varied and many. And I think that storytelling is one of the ways that we are able to deal with our problems and get people outside of those problems. Let me give you an example. So in Ghana, if you are a Ghanaian, you remember that we have had some adverts, social change adverts, that have made a difference. That even if you forget what the ad was about, you remember the story that was being told. When we did the redenomination, for example, the song, it told a story. And because it told a story, it was easy to remember what the redenomination is about. Years later, we have had ads like do not litter. We have had ads like wash your hands with soap and water. And all of these have been done through storytelling. So for me, it's important that because of the important work you are doing, that you get your storytelling right. And that is why I am back. I think that, no, let me ask this question first, and anybody can answer. How did the storytelling audit go for you and for your organizations, if you did it? How do you think it went? And what have you learned from it? Maybe I'll take 2 or 3 people.
Hey.
Yes,
Okay,
Halima.
So, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
So one thing I really found very fascinating and important about the audit was it actually made me understand that beyond that I've actually done a number of works with our storytelling and everything, we still have some gaps that we need to actually fill. Number one is actually ensuring that corporate partner perspective on collaboration and sharing impact is keenly emphasized here. Because sincerely, when we're actually educating a number of our projects, it's usually from family and friends, a number of trusted individuals, we actually get corporate partnerships. And one thing that has actually worked for us over the years, especially for our Float a Child Drive initiative, we have few sailors, especially the female ones. And the opportunity for us to actually get them in is because myself and a number of them belong to a circle. And yes, the initiatives and objectives of that drive actually they're able to relate with it. But with getting big corporate partners on board, it is really difficult. So that always actually helps us to know that moving forward, we need to actually look into what possible and best things can actually bring them in. Because with that, we'll be getting more reach, we have a number of larger resources, and funds to actually fund that project.
Yes. Brilliant. Thank you, Halimot. Anyone else? Anyone else?
And the second one.
Yeah.
So and the second one is we need to actually hammer on our feedback, like on our beneficiary testimonials. Because when I was auditing it, and it actually dawned on me that over the years we have floated more than 6,000 children from underserved locations, and sincerely, you can barely say that you can't say we have 100 beneficiary testimonials. So this is actually a big deal for us, looking at the work that we've done over the years. So we are looking at before we actually do our 2027 beneficiary drive, we need to actually incorporate that thing into our campaign and drive to actually getting a full audience to actually understand and see the beauty of what we are doing.
Very good, very good, very good. So the thing about an audit, and let me tell you something about myself. So one of the things I do is I tell the people who are closest to me know that for me, my year starts the day of my birthday. So whereas everybody's waiting for 31st December and 1st January to put together their resolutions for the year, for me, by December 9th, my plan for the next year is ready. So I used to go for these spiritual retreats. That was before I had children. Now I can't go, where I will listen to what God says to me in the year. My apologies, but I am a person of faith, and I talk about my faith, and my faith is reflected in the way I see communications and storytelling and everything. So I apologize if you find that offensive. So what I do every year is I ask my friends. I do a self-audit. I ask my friends, what do they like about me? What do they think I need to change? And I go to God as well. So the people closest to me, I ask them these questions. What that does, and this is applicable in your organizations as well. What that does is that it makes you sit down and evaluate yourself, question your assumptions, question the things that you have done over the years. Yes, they may have brought you results, but it gets you to sit back and ask, does this really work, or do I do it because I am just a creature of habit? And for me, that is what a storytelling audit is supposed to do for your organization. So you ask yourself, do I post on Facebook because everybody posts on Facebook? Am I getting the required reach on Facebook? Could I probably switch to WhatsApp? And I saw one of the audits that I saw mention WhatsApp as a channel that they use, and I was like, this is good, this is really good. The reason is that we we do not think about this, but this is the reality, and there's the research that backs it up, that especially for us in Africa and certain parts of Asia, WhatsApp is also a social media platform that gets messages across. So do not only think about what we primarily think of as social media. Look for what works for you. Again, in one of the audits that I saw, they were talking about the people that they work with, and yet those people are the people with the missing voices. And I was like, this is really good, because now you have to ask yourself, how are we speaking about these people and they are still the missing voices? So which voices are being heard? And that is something that you really need to think about deliberately, to ask yourself, am I getting the work done the way it ought to be done, or I am doing it the way that I think suits me? So I hope that this audit has opened your eyes to the things that you can improve on as organizations, the things that you can do better, do different, step up a notch higher because it is working also. These are all things that are very, very important to think about and to consider. Then the other thing that I hope you have done based on this is to ask yourself how effective your stories are. And effectiveness, not just in terms of reach, because unfortunately for us, many of us are into the vain metrics. So how many people saw this post? More than how many people saw this post. The question you should be asking yourself is, when they saw it, what action did they take? So we are moving from the vain matrices to impact. What difference has it made for people? What are they doing differently as a result of the message that they have heard? So that it is not the same old, but that we have made a difference that is quantifiable and which makes a qualitative difference in people's lives. Finally, let me add that, and I will give you time to ask questions. Let me add that once you have done the audit and you have found out what the missing voices are, what the missing themes are, what the missing audiences are, you need to dig a bit more deeper and ask yourself, what will I do differently based on everything that I have found out? Thank you very much. I will now give you the opportunity to ask me any questions that you want to ask. I didn't want to mention specific organizations because I wasn't too sure if that would work. So if you have any questions, I am happy to help not answer the question, but give you tools that you could use to rethink about your storytelling.
Thank you, Dr. Korankye. Guys, so Dr. Korankye is open for questions. Just raise your hands. She'll call you, and then. So I see a number of people. I see Gloria's microphone is unmuted. Gloria, are you coming to ask a question? Okay. And what of Emmanuel? Do you want to ask a question?
Yes, just for her to repeat the last statement, ma. That is it.
All right. So what I said was that once you have asked yourself all of the questions about who are the missing voices, how effective is our message, who are the other voices that need to be heard, to ask yourself again, what do I need to do differently? And Emmanuel, I ask this because I want you to ask this because sometimes it is easy to do these audits and then we put it down and continue to do the same things that we have done. But it will be important that once we have asked the questions, to ask ourselves, what can we do differently? And to give ourselves timelines to ensure that the different things that we are doing, we start and we see it through. I hope that you had a session where you talked about certain objectives for your storytelling and things like that. It is helpful once you have set up the objectives because it helps you when you have done the audit or the evaluation to see what did we say we will do? Have we been able to do it? What do the numbers look like based on what we said we will do? What is the impact of what we have done? I hope I have answered your question, Emmanuel.
Yes, you have answered the question.
Thank you, sir.
Interestingly, Dr. Korankye, we did that yesterday, just yesterday.
Brilliant.
That's story impact monitoring. So
Brilliant.
We did that
Brilliant.
Yeah. Guys, any further questions for Dr. Korankye? She's open for all your questions, especially even the ones that you already submitted, the assignment. If you had any observation, reflections, she's ready to answer them. Okay, Radwa.
I have a question.
Oh, okay, Betty, let Radwa go and then you come in.
Hello.
I hope that's okay.
Hi, Radwa.
Hello. I wanted to ask a question. What is the biggest mistake NGO make when trying to communicate their impact, and how can they avoid it? Thank you.
So I'd say the biggest question is not setting realistic goals about your communication. A lot of times what we do it in a very ad hoc manner. And by ad hoc, I mean that, we went here, we did this event, let's get a media person to come and cover it. Once you do not have a plan or a strategy in place for why you are doing what you are doing, what comes out is that you are not able to set the proper objectives and to measure the impact of what you have done. Again, you need to understand that when you are telling stories and when you are communicating, it is not just for the sake of communicating. It has to be linked to the organizational vision. So what's the big picture that we want to achieve? And then once we know the big picture that we want to achieve, we break it down into ways that will make sense for organization. So if we know that this year our NGO wants to communicate impact to donors, for example, then when we are setting objectives for our communication and for our storytelling, we know that one of our objectives will be to communicate with these donors in a way that makes sense to them. So we will put together a policy brief to the World Bank, for example. That is what you need to do. That way, everything that you do is tied to the bigger vision or the grand vision of the organization, and it's tied to what you want to achieve in the year. So do not do things in an ad hoc manner. You have to set the correct objectives. That way, everything at every point of the communications journey or the storytelling journey, you are able to know, are we getting to our destination that we have planned to get to? So this is a framework that I also use to teach my students about planning. It is called the SOSTAC. I am putting it in the chat and I'll explain it shortly. SOSTAC framework. So the SOSTAC framework is basically a framework for storytelling planning or communications planning for everybody. It does not matter the kind of organization that you are. So the S starts for a situation analysis. In that, you are just asking yourself, where are we now as an organization? And that is what you do with the storytelling audit exam, for example. You are asking yourself. So let's say that I am currently in, and this is the way I teach the SOSTAC framework to my students. So let's say that I am in Newcastle and I want to get to Accra by 6 p.m. today. The SOSTAC framework just asks me to think, where am I now? So that is the situation analysis. Where are you? I am currently in Newcastle. What is my objective? I want to get to Accra by 6 p.m. today. So that is the objective. And you see the way I talk about the objectives. I want to get to Accra by 6 p.m. today. So it is specific. The objective, I mean, is specific. It is measurable. Is it attainable? I have to think about that. Is it realistic? Is it time bound? I have told you about the time. It is currently 10:30 p.m. in Accra. So if I want to get to Accra by 6 p.m. today, I need to find out, have I booked my flight? Excuse me. Is there direct flight from Newcastle to Accra? All of that you think about in setting your objective. Then you put together your strategy. So my strategy is that I am going to Accra. I will probably have to go by flight. So that's the big picture. Get to Accra. Then the tactics. So if I am going to Accra by flight, because remember, I could have gone by road, I could have gone by bicycle, I could have gone by flight. but I have decided that I'm going by flight because I need to get there at 6 p.m. It means that there are things that I need to do, tactics, which is what the T stands for. So I need to book my flight ticket, I need to go to the airport, and I need to go to the correct gate. Those are the actions that you take. And once I am in, say, in transit to, say, Amsterdam or London, then I know that, and there's a next flight to Accra, then I know that I am on my way. But if my flight takes me to, let's say, Canada, then I know that I have missed my way. Do you get it? Because I have a clear objective in mind, and when I want to get there, I know exactly where I am going. So when I do the C, which is the control or evaluation, I know where I am coming from. I am conscious of time, so I'll end it here and ask if there is any other question.
Yes, please. Thank you very much, Dr. Korankye. And Betty wanted to speak. Betty, please, you can speak. Hi, Betty.
Okay, yes. My question is, how do we position ourselves as an organization using storytelling to attract funding?
So I would say that to position yourself as an organization, you need to know the various audiences that you are communicating with. Because if you are communicating with your different stakeholders, you will know that for this stakeholder group, this is the channel that I can use to get to them. So you have to do a stakeholder map. Unfortunately, because I wasn't here for the entire thing, I'm not too sure what you went through entirely, but you need to have a stakeholder map. Who you are communicating to, what is the power influence ratio, how powerful are they, where should you put them on your stakeholder map. So your stakeholder map is like a 4-quadrant map where you put the people who are powerful and influential, the people who are powerful but not influential, the people who are not powerful and influential, and the people who are not powerful and not influential. So depending on which stakeholder group you want to deal with at any point in time, then you choose the channels, you choose the message, you choose the mode or the medium to reach them. This is like a whole year's a whole semester's module I am putting into just a few minutes of explaining, but I hope it makes sense, Betty.
Betty, could you react if this works for you? Or the feedback answers your question? Okay, great.
I will send you a sample stakeholder map I'll probably send it to you, Lydia, and then you can share it with Betty. Like it helps you to think about the people you are communicating with at every point in time, where they stand in terms of their power and influence, and what amount of time you should spend. Because if you are communicating with donors, the medium, the message will have to be different from if you are communicating with stakeholders such as impacted communities. Do you get it? For any project that you are doing. So I try and share that with you, and then you can pass it on to Betty or anyone else who is interested in it.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Korankye. We appreciate your time so much. I think time is up, and I believe if anyone else had extra questions, they probably would have notified me. But should they have questions outside of here, I'm sure I can always reach out to you to be of help to them.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please.
All right.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for the opportunity as well. And I wish you all the very best. I think you are doing amazing things. We just need to amplify our storytelling, push ourselves a bit more. If you can, and you have friends who work in media and PR, rope them in. You don't necessarily have to pay them. You can get them to think that this is their way of giving back to society. So pick on their brains. If they can't do 100%, pick on their brains. Share your plans with them. Let them critique it for you. Let them revise it, improve it for you. But I wish you guys the very best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr.